So, Sune and I are back again. It's Mindfulness on Monday, and you might have seen me giving a hand signals then because I forgot to give you the countdown, Sune. That was that was entirely my fault.
No, it's fine. I could see it. I could see it going, but it's the last minute flap.
Indeed. So I've had a bit of a flappy morning myself this morning. It was all going swimmingly until I opted to take a trip to the post office to post my son's 21st birthday present. He's at university. And I thought I was going to get all hip and cool and down with the kids and pay on my phone with the card thing. So I got to the post office counter. He said, that'll be £57. Because I've got a gift card as well, something. And so there I am wafting the phone in front of the reader. And he says, oh no, you need a card for that. And my card is at home, obviously.
Oh no.
So, and I was on foot, so luckily I had my trainers on, so I ran home and then got in the car to go back to the post office to complete the transaction in the traditional fashion with the card. So that just kind of, threw me a little off kilter. So, but, I share this because this is life. Life throws these curveballs at us, and this is why we try and implement the mindfulness strategies in the first part of our morning to try and set us off in the right frame of mind for the rest of our day. And so that's what we're talking about this morning. How can we embed a little bit of mindfulness into those few minutes that we might have before everything goes chaotic in the morning?
Oh my gosh, that sounds so familiar, that. And then forgetting the pin, and then it's all supposed to be easy, isn't it? Yeah. So what do you do in the morning? Do you have a routine to set you up for the day, or how does that look for you?
Yeah, I am definitely building a routine, and it is evolving and emerging at the moment. The things that I've read that I am endeavouring to implement into my routine, going about your self-care mindfully. So an example of brushing your teeth and taking care and attention over each individual tooth, rather than rushing the toothbrush around your mouth whilst thinking about the day ahead. So, counting on each tooth 4 seconds, and then you should, as long as you've got the right number of teeth, you should have the appropriate length of time at the end of it. So this is not mine. I can't confess to have come up with this idea. Jay Shetty, in his book, Think Like a Monk, he suggested this was something that he does, and I thought, well, brushing my teeth is something I'm going to be doing every morning, so not do it mindfully. And then, of course, the other thing that I'm working to implement is breath work. And again, I was listening to Dr. Chatterjee, who I know we both love. And I think it's in one of his books, the 5-finger breathing technique. And so to use the hand and think of an inhale and then an exhale. So if you're watching now, and I know somebody is, do this with me. Inhale. And of course, how long you trace your finger for, exhale, is up to you, isn't it? Yeah, so inhale, exhale, and just 5 mindful breaths will help me to recover from my traumatic experience at the post office.
Yeah.
So that's a breath technique that I I think I relate to these things because of the
Yeah,
physicality.
it's very practical, isn't it? Yeah,
So
especially for anyone starting out, right? Like if you're just doing it for the first time, it's having those physical reminders are really useful. And I love what you're saying of tying it into something that you're already doing, like you're already brushing your teeth. So, tying it in with that rather than seeing it as, oh well, now I need to find somewhere to actually just be, because what you're just being present, right? You're just finding a moment to be present to the here and now.
mm,
Mm,
yeah, exactly. So,
yeah.
I mean, obviously, this is something that we're endeavouring to help people to incorporate into their lives. And so, what kinds of things are you getting up to in the mornings?
Well, my goal most mornings is to get up before everyone else and do a formal practice. So I'll sit for, depending on how much time I've got, but anything between 10 and 30 minutes. Normally, if I do 30 minutes, the last 10 minutes is just hearing the house waking up. Um, but that's a nice amount of time for me to sit. But then, yeah, the things that I like to attach it to as well is if I do any form of exercise, like this morning I went for a run. So of course you can't do it the whole run of being mindful, but every now and again I'd like, okay, I feel my feet, notice my body, and just being in my body while I'm doing it, listening to so I run without earphones,
Mm,
because I like to use that time to connect with my body, but that's also my kind of affirmation time. That's when I say my affirmations out loud to myself, depending on who's around me, and kind of conscious. Sorry, my dog is making a bed next to me.
ah,
Um, yeah, just kind of consciously creating my day and my mindset, and saying those things to myself of, yeah, just positive, happy things. Um, and
mm,
in the shower is also a time to really just feel the water, notice the soap, really being with washing my hair, rinsing it, just feeling the towel on my body, yeah, just really trying to notice all of those little physical things that's going on as well, and just also noticing any judgments that come up in the shower or after the shower. Oh, these pants are tight, or wobbly bits, and all those things. To just kind of be present to the mindset, and then also just to the actual act of it. Yeah, and then I think that's why the morning is quite good to do it, isn't it? I find, because the rest of the day sometimes feel like it runs away with you a little bit.
yeah,
Mm.
I think that's right, and I definitely have experienced the benefit of practicing meditation in the early part of the day. And insomnia is something that I've talked about
Yeah.
my struggles with, and it was kind of a revelation to me that I actually gleaned most benefit from meditating if I had done it in the early part of the day.
Mm.
And doing it in the evening didn't give the same results. Maybe if you repeated it in the evening, that might be a
Mm.
different scenario. But and we do know that exposure to early morning light sets our
Mm.
our circadian rhythms.
Mm.
And so, in a similar way, appreciating that peace of thought and mind in the early
Yeah.
part of the day has
Mhm.
then this knock-on effect through
Yeah.
the day, and even
Yeah.
potentially into the night. So, um,
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely know. I mean, yeah, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but yeah, for me, the practice in the morning is absolutely essential for the day. Um, it's not perfect, and of course, there's going to be, life happens, but it's almost like it sets the tone, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
even and especially those moments afterwards, I find, when the house is busy, you need to get ready for school and everything else, but there's a centeredness around that, and there's a calmness around that. I find that I'm just much easier present with whatever's going on, and I notice the difference when I haven't practiced
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're chaotic and it's busy and you forget things and you're so off in your head about all the things that you have to do that you completely forget to look at the pretty picture that was painted last night.
Yeah, I think that's entirely right. And as you said, incorporating this into movement is something uh,
Mm,
that I definitely do. Really diving deep
mm,
into the sensations that you might be experiencing. Even now, sitting here, if I give myself the opportunity, I'm aware that maybe I'm clenching the muscles here in the top of my
mm,
shoulders, my neck. But very quickly, I am able to say to those muscles, okay, you don't
yeah,
need to do that just
yeah,
now.
yeah,
We're not running from the tigers. We're
yeah,
just here. So you know, and that's a skill that you develop
yeah.
and grows with practice.
And that's a very difficult thing to do, because I see in the mindfulness courses that I teach, there's a practice they call it 50-50, which is not really a very helpful name, but it is that idea. And I think if you work with clients or patients, I think you have a sense of that already. But for people who don't, to have that awareness of listening, but also being aware of your own thoughts, your own being present in your body and listening and not jumping ahead with responding
Mm.
is is quite challenging. So yeah, you saying that you're doing it, and as you're saying it, I'm also noticing, like what I'm doing with my hands, or if you're thinking ahead of what I'm
Mm.
going to say next, but just really being present and just in the conversation, and really listening, but also noticing your own, I guess, tendencies and habits to want to maybe interrupt or jump in or
Yeah, I definitely have that finishing other people's sentences problem sometimes.
yeah, you've said that before.
So yeah, no, you know what? Sometimes I notice I go for a walk and I've got my fist like this. Yeah, and I think it goes back to when I'm really cold and I'm trying to keep warm. But particularly the one fist, and then the other hand maybe not doing it. But
But
you
it's interesting that, because when you notice that, you may also notice that actually I'm thinking.
yeah,
And then, and that's what I've noticed when I'm sometimes with a client, when I'm listening, that my hands are doing this, and it's not of impatience. It's almost like, being in my head, and I'm like, just the minute you slow this down, the mind slows down as well, and it just kind of, or not slows down, but it just brings it back to now again.
mm,
Yeah, and I guess that's what we do, right? If we're clenching or
mm,
slouching,
mm,
the mind is having all those thoughts of worry, stress,
yeah,
anxiety, and then your posture kind of, yeah,
reflect.
your posture reflects that.
Oh, I finished your sentence then. Sorry. Um, So no, I mean this is the thing: the bidirectional effect, so that it works both ways. that
Mm.
thoughts, anxiety, stress, whatever, manifest tension in the body. But similarly, this tension in the body
Yeah.
can generate this sensation of stress, anxiety, and
Yeah.
certainly they are inherently linked. And so breaking this or interrupting this,
Mm.
sometimes it's through physicality, and then that takes us into this place of making the connection, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it continually fascinates me how the thoughts and influence our sensations generally.
Mm.
And something that I'm finding that I'm today I've posted, the teacher becomes the student, because there is always learning, and actually I embrace and thoroughly enjoy that experience. But I am learning, about
Yeah.
myself, and that I do have a propensity to go down the rabbit hole. If not grabbed by the back legs, then I maybe headed off down the rabbit hole. And this dialogue with oneself, that you is so subconscious, unless we bring it into the fore.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
the one of the things that I am trying to do in this early part of the day to set the tone, as you say, is to have that experience of gratitude.
Mm.
uh, and I think, what you said about verbalizing, this is something that we feel a bit silly, perhaps, saying things out loud, but
Mm.
it carries so much more weight
Yeah.
if written down,
Yeah.
works well,
Yeah.
and spoken to
Mm.
oneself,
Mm.
works really, really well.
Yeah.
And so to,
Yeah.
yeah.
It really, I mean, the other thing I do in the morning is journal. So, I make time. So if I'm only going to meditate for 10 minutes, then I know I've got like 5 or 8 minutes to journal as well. Because, yeah, I think, yeah, like you just said, it's so, well, for me, it sets me up. It's because, and I think it's like you're saying, right? It's this perpetual, what are the words that you use? Perpetual propensity for learning, is that it? That sounds so sophisticated. A lot of big words for a non-native English speaker.
Oh,
But
oh,
no, it's great. But I think, the years and years of a specific mindset or belief system, like this is what I'm finding, is how am I going to change that? How am I unlearning certain ways of being with myself? And for me, this is it. It's practicing mindfulness, it's journaling, and making a very definite, conscious choice of changing or being aware of my thoughts so that I can change them if they affect a negative belief system. Does that make sense? Because the thoughts becomes your beliefs, right? And your beliefs become your habits, and your habits become your character and way of showing up in the world. So to consciously affirm that, I'm this and I am this and I am this, rather than I am this and I am this. Is my effort to change belief systems about myself, about my world, about so many things that can be very damaging in the long run. And I think making that conscious decision of I want to live, I want to be awake to my life
yeah.
rather than it happening to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it
And
does feel silly. I mean, I have a client that I'm working with at the moment that I'm dropping it into to have a few affirmations just dotted around, or a power statement, or an inner wisdom statement that you can remind yourself every now and again of your real power, because it is so easy to get swept away by all the negative and limiting beliefs we have about ourselves. I don't know, I've got a bit off tangent there.
No, well, yes, yeah, that's it. And so just taking the time out briefly in the morning, the kettle is boiling. I've
Yeah.
got, the teapot is sitting on the side. And like you, I'm up before the rest of the house. I think lots of ladies may be doing that. And then setting the scene for the rest of the day and knowing that things may indeed go awry. And that ability to start each day afresh with a clean slate. And routine helps, with all of these things. Having it in your routine means that it's much more likely to happen. And then we don't want it to become automatic as such, but for it to be something that does happen on a regular basis. It has to be.
Yeah, and I think that's why something like the teeth brushing is such a good example, because even if you don't sit formally on your cushion or bench or stool or bed or wherever, it's just tying it into something that you're doing already is bringing the practice alive, right?
Yeah. Well, I think, food for thought. It's Monday. Everybody's trying to catch up after the weekend. So we'll leave them with those few thoughts and let them get back to it. And then we will reconvene on Monday at the same time next week. So
absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Philippa. I love this one. I'm going to definitely apply that. Yeah. It's very practical. I love it.
Okay. Well, thanks again. So nice to see you. Have a good day.
You too. Take care, Philippa. Bye.
Bye.